We love old cemeteries and churchyards, so come with us as we explore these places for the past. Today we are going to go and have a wee look at Macduff Cemetery in East Weymss. Now I think this is quite a modern one, but there is reputed to be a gravestone here by one of Scotland's most famous designers. And just by the gate is a war memorial to the memory of the non-commissioned officers and men of the Wells Green and Rosie district who fell in the Great War of 1914 to 1919. So the officers must be somewhere else. They're not on the back. And that is what we've come to see. That gravestone was designed by famous Scottish artist and designer and architect and general all-round legend Charles Rennie Macintosh. And quite why it's hidden away in a corner of East Weymss Cemetery, I have no idea. But it's quite impressive. It's different to all the other ones here, but Macintosh's stuff was always a wee bit different to everyone else's. This is another cemetery. When you drive past on the main road, it's all modern. You can't see an old bit because it's all, the other side of that ridge there is all modern. It's all very recent, or comparatively recent, but down here it looks much older, so this must be the older cemetery over here, which answers my question of I wonder where the graveyard was before they started using the big new bit. Yeah, we're definitely into the older bit now. This is erected by Emily McFarlane in loving remembrance of her dear husband James Kinnear Shoemaker, who died in Buckhaven just along the road. And also their 4 children, George and Annie, James and John, who all died in infancy. Oh, and on this side, Emily and Alison. Okay, let's go and have a look up here in search of the oldest bit. I'm guessing there must be an original very old cemetery here from the 1800s, late 1700s. Let's see what we can find. I'm actually doing this in slightly the reverse order to the way I usually, where I walk in through the gate, because the sun is behind me. So I've come across to the far side and working back towards the gate. So yeah, if you come to this place, you'll be looking at it backwards. I'm showing you the last bits first, just because of lighting and backlighting and stuff. And there's a wee Commonwealth war grave to Private W. Walker of the Gordon Highlanders from the First World War, August 1915. Hello, Private Walker. It's another little cemetery with a lot of quite grand monuments. Some of these are quite impressive. There's one of those cylinder ones that we saw in Leven, and there's an obelisk there with a statue on the top. It's really quite a lot of money spent on remembrance and memorials and stuff. But this is still all 1900s, early 1900s in some cases. I'm wondering if this is actually like a replacement cemetery and there's an older one somewhere else in the village. We'll have to do a bit of research and find out. Right over here in the far corner, there are some from the... Nope, that's the 19... I thought I said 1863. It doesn't. It says 1963. So again, it's all 1900s. Where are the old gravestones? Yep, lots of gravestones from the 1900s. This is going to be the shortest episode of Places for the Past ever. Right, now here's a clue, because this is to the memory of somebody, Janet Anderson, who died 1905, and their family, William, who died 1849, and Betsy, who died 1864. Both interred in the old churchyard. Right, next up we're going to see if we can find the old churchyard. Somebody else there buried in West Weymss, and James, who met his death by accident in America in 1883, aged 26. Right, so we're going to go and see if we can find the old cemetery. And that red sandstone thing you can see in front of you is Macduff Castle, which is quite nice. It used to be a lot nicer before half of it was demolished in the 1960s after somebody claimed it, fell off and killed themselves. And here's another interesting inscription. I'm finding interesting stuff after I say I'm going to leave. I'm sure that'll be making some of you smile. This was erected by his parents in memory of Michael S. Brown, their beloved son, who was done to death at East Weymss, 19th of February 1909. I wonder what done to death means. Murdered, possibly? Okay, let's head up this way back towards the gate, because I don't think this graveyard is meeting our standards of interestingness, unless you're into Charles Rennie Macintosh or a slightly scatty greyhound. It's another cemetery with lots of old and new mixed together. I'm not sure I like that arrangement. I think I prefer it to be in sort of sections. But that's just a personal preference when it comes to making interesting videos, or hopefully interesting videos. Although the fact that it has this sort of eclectic arrangement does mean that it's quite interesting to look at, because no two monuments side by side are the same. They're all different. We're just heading back towards the gate. Over there in front of us is the newer part. It's just strange that there's so many old and new things mixed about in here, going from the late 1800s up to like a few years ago. It's eclectic, like I said. And there's a military person, although it's not a war grave. Pilot Officer Ian Prentice, RAF VR. VR is Volunteer Reserve. and he was killed on active service at Yeobury Hill in 1941. He most prevails who nobly dares, apparently. And this is quite a big grand stone compared to the ones round about it. That's because it is for a solicitor and town clerk from Buckhaven, which is just along the road. Okay, so that was Macduff Cemetery. Let's go and see if we can find the older cemetery. There must be one in the village somewhere. So Google Maps has brought us to the parish church and the war memorial, and that is the 1914-18 Great War Memorial in East Weymss to the men of the parish who died in that conflict. Quite a lot of names for quite a small place, and I spy through all the bushes some gravestones. Let's hope we can get in, because this looks much more like it. Possibly not. St Mary's churchyard, no entry. That's not fair. Oh well, the church is now a house and the graveyard is inaccessible. That is a pity, because that does look really interesting. I can't see over the wall, but let me know what you guys can see, because I think that is going to be quite a cool little graveyard. We'll have to make some inquiries. And on that disappointment, let's head along to West Weymss. So that was a bit disappointing. So we've come along to the village of West Weymss, and this is their war memorial, which is dedicated to the honour memory of those who went out from the borough of Barony of West Weymss in the Great War, and they gave their lives in the defence of freedom. And there's all the names over there, and it's all killed in action, killed in action, killed in action, etc, etc, etc. But any of them not killed? Oh yeah, there's one who died 5th of January 1917, but not killed in action. And over here, they are all killed, 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 killed. Prisoner of war, died September 1918, so almost made it through. So we are going to have to make inquiries about access to the old church in East Weymss, but I'm fairly sure the church in West Weymss is just a case of going through that gate over there. So let's go and find out. It's quite an impressive church, red sandstone like a lot of them around here, and I saw the graveyard from the other side of the hill and it looked, oh yes. That's quite a nice wee parish church, a typical Fife village church, and down there is a sign that we look for at these places, as you know. Let's go and find the war graves. A token of respect from his fellow workers in loving memory of James Thompson, who was accidentally killed in the Francis pit. The Francis colliery is quite near here. 1934, age 21. And right opposite that, in memory of Alexander Fairfull, who died as the result of an accident at the Victoria pit in West Weymss, and that was in 1922. So yeah, mining was not a very safe activity. I am not going to murder the French language, because people who can't speak French will laugh at me, but I'll give it a shot. This is in loving memory of Sergeant W. Warrender, Distinguished Conduct Medal, who won the Croix de Guerre, which is a French military medal with palms, which I think means he won it twice. He died in October 1976, obviously served in the First World War or the Second World War. No, Second World War, because First World War he was 11. Oh wow, here's another one in memory of William Parker, who was accidentally killed at Victoria Pit, West Weymss in 1935. A token of respect from his fellow workers. It's another very small but very interesting graveyard. I mean, we've only looked at the wee bit along there, and it's interesting already, so let's go and see what else we can find. That's quite interesting and quite sad. On other gravestones you see the children that died in infancy, but these children actually lived for a few years. One was 6, one was 2 and one was 5. I don't know, would that have been even harder for the parents? This is not a very lucky graveyard. This is in memory of Alex Christie, who accidentally drowned. Yeah, this is a strange cemetery. This is another stone erected by Elizabeth and David Baxter in memory of their children who died. Alison was aged 1, Peter was aged 2, Alexander was aged 2, Elizabeth was aged 13 and Andrew was aged 10. The children were making it past infancy, but then not making it for a great deal longer. Okay, and right next to that there's one that goes back to 1793. Unfortunately this bit here of it is all gone, but it's in memory of Gilbert Murr something, I can't read the rest of that. Died June 1793, aged something that ends in a 7, and also his, I don't know, spouse, and also his spouse, Mary Morrison, I'm guessing, who died aged 65, but again the year is on the bit that's all, it's really strange, that bit's all gone, and that bit's all still there. And next to that is Fanny Lang, who died April the 8th, 1901, aged 68, beloved wife of somebody who's lost beneath the frost. I am really glad I came along here. This one fits into the I did not know it was this interesting category. In affectionate remembrance, there's a phrase that we haven't seen very often. That is Andrew Nichol, shipmaster, and various members of his family. And we'll have to come back when it's not quite so frosty to see if there's anything left on that tabletop gravestone there. West Weymss is beside the seaside. There's the anchor at the top of the gravestone, and the sea is literally just over there. Another sad little story is James, their son, who drowned at sea in 1934. This white stone up here, it looks like they've got their money's worth, the number of people commemorated on this stone, from Alexander Christie and Christina Rollo and James Ferguson, and yeah, quite a few people squeezed onto that stone. It looks like this stone has had a lucky escape. It's toppling forward, but they've put a temporary support in to hold it up, so it's not going anywhere for the moment. So old Alexander and Euphemia are quite safe for the moment. I've walked up the little hill in the graveyard and then looked over my shoulder. That is not a bad view at all. We saw the war graves sign when we came in, so there's got to be one or two here somewhere. Let's see if we can find them. Oh dear, that's another grave that had a temporary support put up to try and hold it up like the one over there. It didn't work. These two right against the back wall look like they might be quite interesting. Erected by David Balfour in memory of his beloved wife Emily Connell, is that, who died 4th November 1889. It's all starting to fade away, but yeah, it's still just about legible. And it's got a little birdie at the top, and that one's quite cool. That is made of cast iron, which is unusual but not completely unheard of. We have seen a few of those dotted about the place. And again, there's old and new right side by side, but over here are things that I think are probably quite old because they're built into the wall. Let's see if we can find a date. Somebody black, his wife, died at West Weymss 1867, and this one over here is 1892. This one was put up by Alexander and Anne, originally in memory of their children, Robert and Michael, who died in infancy, and their mother and their brother got added in as well. But what I'm finding quite interesting here is these things, the birdies. There's been a few tombstones that have got birds on top of them. Again, you see it occasionally, but not as often as I'm seeing it here, because there's one there, and just over here there's another one. That's sort of like a dove over there, and this might just be a pigeon. It's probably a dove, but it looks a bit like a slightly eroded pigeon. There are quite a few toppled gravestones at the back of this graveyard. This one for Christina Black, beloved wife of John Black. But let's go and see if we can find the war grave. I'm not seeing anything that looks like it yet. They're usually quite distinctive. When you've been doing this for as long as we have, you kinda recognise them from a distance. We've now come round to the back of the church, and that's quite impressive, built into the wall at the back. If you've watched our video from Crail, there's lots of stones like that built into the wall, usually for well-to-do families and big names. This one has lost all of its names, unfortunately. There's a number 4 up there, which is a religious significant thing, I think. And down the bottom there are skulls and crossbones and an hourglass. And as you know from watching these videos, skull and crossbones is just mortality, and the hourglass is to tell you that time is running out. So use it wisely, spend it well, because it is not going to last forever. And right over in the very corner, there's me. Hello! There is RB, but unfortunately there's nothing left at all of the inscription that was on there, so no idea who RB was. Oh, and down there, I've just noticed the back of it. I think that is our war grave. Let's go and see what we can see. It is, yes it is, it's to the Royal Air Force, leading aircraftsman J.B. Bruce, who died in 1946, so he made it back from the war and then died when he got home. And again, for this one we'll have to come back when it's not frosty. I don't want to go scraping the frost off in case I damage the stone, but LB and EP in memory of their son Robert, I think. And over here is erected by Donald McPhee in memory of his daughter Margaret McPhee, who died in 1851. I think it's either a 5 or a 3. I think that says 1851. So these have been saved from lying face down on the ground and put up against the wall of the church. Right, I think we're going to have one more pass along this row of stones in the middle, just to see what's what. And the first one, we do like things from the war, as you know, but there's John Alexander James, who fell in action in France, 1915, Okay, bear with me on this one because my brain took a few seconds to catch up with what it said. I thought it said, in memory of their son, John Alexander James, who fell in action in France 1915, but then there's 1916. No, that is in memory of John Alexander and James, one who died in 1915, one who died in 1916, and one who died in 1917. That is horrific. Oh, and that one at the back is lost a lot of its text, but it is a memory of William Paul Burns, who was the schoolmaster at West Weymss for nearly 50 years. God, this is another really unlucky family. It was erected by David and Susan Mitchell in loving memory of their daughter Lizzie Heard, who died in 1889, aged 8 years. And also their son David, who died aged 5.5 months, and their son Sergeant James, who was killed in the First World War. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh there. And their son William Hunter, who died aged 15, and their daughter, oh, she made it to 39. She was doing quite well by that family's standards. There's a stone that's toppled down. It's in 3 parts, and the front bit is round the front, but on the back of it says, "Be ye also ready." That sounds like a threat. So that has been West Weymss Cemetery. We hope you've enjoyed this wee explore. I certainly have. It is a fascinating wee place, and the stone inscriptions here are some of the most interesting that we've ever seen. It's just everyone you look at seems to have an interesting and a sad story to tell. It is yet another nice wee place. And just for the sake of completeness, this is the Coaltown of Weymss War Memorial. So there you go, that is completed the set. East Weymss, West Weymss and Coaltown of Weymss. We do hope you enjoyed that wee explore. If you've got anywhere you'd like us to visit, please let us know in the comments.